Hey, what's up? It's Comic95 the Savior, and for this video I will be giving you 13 of my own personal tips on things that I do not think you should do on your first day in Japan. Please keep in mind that this is my own personal experience. I am an American woman. I have been in Japan for nearly 10 years, so I'm giving you my own personal advice based off of my experience being here. I have lived in Japan for a long time. I've lived in just about every major city here that foreigners typically want to go to. I have done a fair amount of traveling domestically, and I've also been in tons of bad situations here, both legal ones as well as not so legal ones, but more so on a social level. I have been here on just about every visa. I have had a designated activities visa. I have had refugee status in Japan. I've had a working visa, a student visa. I am on an entertainment visa. I know how everything goes just about here, so I'm still learning things myself, but this is my own personal advice that I would give you as though I'm talking to a friend or a family member, or as though you're my own child or something like that. So do keep in mind that different foreigners will give you different advice. People have their own opinions. This is mine on what I would advise you to do. So yeah, just please keep that in mind and take my advice with a grain of salt. Information is going to constantly be changing, and so will my opinions and feelings towards this topic, as with all of my videos, because Japan is constantly changing, and now that we're easing out of this pandemic, some of these things can also of course change over time too. So if you are new to my channel, please check out my YouTube channel's homepage. I have tons of videos that I've already talked about many different things dealing with life here in Japan. I've probably already answered your question, but I will let you know in advance. Please feel free to leave a comment down below or send me an email with any questions that you might have, and I will try my best to make a video here on YouTube where I can answer your questions. So let's go ahead and get to the video. So not in any particular order. Number one, planning a trip domestically too soon. So there's nothing wrong with traveling locally within Japan, but the problem is a lot of foreigners come here to Japan and they either get bored of Tokyo really fast, or they think about all the cool places they want to go to and they realize how far away they really are from where they're staying at. So for example, maybe you are brand new to Japan and you decide that you want to go somewhere, you know, way out in like Ibaraki or Gunma, or maybe you want to go to Osaka or Sapporo or something crazy like that. And that sounds like a great idea, and maybe you even have the money to do this. But for the average foreigner here, especially if you're a student or you are a fresh grad, just got out of college, you probably cannot afford such a trip. And even if you can't afford it, it's honestly a little bit scary traveling by yourself when you don't have a lot of Japanese language ability and you don't know anyone here. It also takes a lot of the fun out of it when you don't have any friends and you have no language ability. And yeah, not to say that you can't do these things and that they're not fun if you don't speak Japanese and don't have friends, but you get what I'm saying. I just really feel like this is something that should be done later on and not something you should be trying to do right away. You should be using this time to really get comfortable with where you are, enhance your language skills, enhance your cultural understanding. A lot of foreigners come here and they do not understand the difference between just learning Japanese language and learning about Japanese culture. I'll make another video talking about that, but to quickly explain that to you, don't sweat about your Japanese language ability. I promise to God you don't need it, and you honestly could live your entire life here without ever speaking a word of Japanese. I know from personal experience. I have met people that have been here for 10, 20, 30 years that do not speak Japanese and cannot even read hiragana, katakana, which is crazy to me. But those people do exist, and you can easily get by on just English alone. Do I recommend it? No, and that's not what this video is about, but I do just want to put that out there that does obviously help make your travels much easier. But it's not a matter of having easy travel. It's that you're trying to do too much, too fast, too soon. Slow down, get used to where you are first, and then we start planning trips and things like that. Like, think about it. If you were to be coming to America and let's say that you just, get off the plane and you're in New York, who in their right mind would say, since I'm in America and I'm only going to be here for, I don't know, the next 5 years, let's go ahead and, plan a trip to Los Angeles. I've always wanted to go to LA. Like, do you see how crazy that is? Of course, it's in the same country, but it's like, you have plenty of time to do this stuff later on. Like, you're not here for 2 or 3 days like a regular tourist is. You are now living in Japan. Even if it's only going to be for 1 year, you have other months, days, weeks, whatever. You can always stay even longer if you choose to continue working or studying here to do that stuff later on. Don't go broke so soon, and don't waste your money, because you might go to Sapporo and then you find out later by seeing some sort of ad or something and you're like, I should have gone to Shizuoka. Like, do you see what I'm saying? So even although Shizuoka is much closer than somewhere like Sapporo, you don't want to even do like close day trips like that where you could easily go for just a few hours. For example, it is possible to do a round trip back and forth. I've done it to somewhere as far as Osaka. You will waste about 6 hours of your day. You can make it even shorter if you take a flight. I think you'll end up spending more, like it'll still be about the same amount of time, because by the time you go to the airport and go through all of that crap, it's going to even out to about the same amount of time, but you're going to spend at least about 4 hours wasted in your day just from transportation, if not longer. So yeah, I do highly suggest that you think about that and put off any sort of day trips that you might have had planned or any extended travels when you first come here. You should not be trying to, impress people on Instagram and be like, okay, I'm in Tokyo for one day, and then tomorrow you're showing pictures of yourself in Osaka. There's no way you're really enjoying your trip and having fun. Like, you're literally living like a tourist, and even tourists, they're not really having fun, because there's no way you can experience all of Tokyo in 1 week, or honestly even 1 month. I don't think it's necessary to take any sort of day trips and leave this city or area within your first few months of being here. I think it's okay to venture out after about 6 months. It's fine to go somewhere like Yokohama or Saitama or something like that, but when you start like trying to go into other like prefectures and whatnot, to me that's just a little bit too extreme, especially if you're here by yourself. My own 2 cents, my own opinion, just skip day trips. Number 2, tell people where you live and or that you are here alone. Now, it might seem totally innocent. I'm personally guilty of doing this all the time, but you should not do that. It's very dangerous, especially if you're a woman. People can try to stalk you and take advantage of you, just like how they do in the US. A lot of people have this mindset and idea that Japanese people are so innocent and they don't commit crimes and they're not dangerous and nobody's going to R you or whatever else. People think the only bad people are the ones that touch you on trains. But no, bad and crazy people do exist. I've been guilty of being stalked, and the police here do not care about stalkers. They don't. Nothing will be done unless somebody has physically done something to you, and even then it's very unlikely they will actually be prosecuted unless it was life-threatening and or you can prove, like DNA evidence prove, and when I say DNA evidence, I mean like fluids that got inside of you. It's very unlikely that you're going to be able to move forward any sort of case like that. It will likely get dismissed. And so with that said, you really want to be careful about who you tell, like where you are. And the reality is, most people aren't asking innocently. They want to know that you're alone so that they can manipulate you and take advantage of you. People will try to date you, drug you, all type of crazy stuff. I've had those things happen to me. Yes, both of the things that I just mentioned. Be very careful. No one needs to know that you're here alone. So I always lie to people. Like, when you don't know someone, then you like want to talk to them, but you don't know them to the point where you feel comfortable, just simply say, I live with my family, or I'm living with, my roommates, or, something like that. Basically, let them know that other people are aware that you are here in Japan and that they're expecting you to come back home, because not doing so can literally invite somebody to stalk you, because they're like, oh, you live alone. So that means that if I'm spying on you, I'm hanging out outside your building, I, try to figure out where you live later on, and now that we have air tags and whatnot, like, this is just so much more scary than it was when I first came here. So if I were you, I would be super, super careful of that. Nobody needs to know that you're living in Japan alone. No one needs to know that you live in a house alone. I know it's something that's brag-worthy to say, like, for example, I say it all the time, but again, I'm seasoned, I've been here for a minute. You need to be very careful when you are new to Japan, especially if you are younger than I am. Be extremely careful. That's too much information. It doesn't matter whether you're living alone or not, especially if you're not planning to bring anybody home. And to be honest, you shouldn't even be thinking about these things yet. Do not be stupid like how I was when I first came here, just keeping it real. Be very careful, protect yourself. Foreigners do come up missing and end up with their lives ended. For the sake of YouTube, I would not say it, but you know what I mean. That does happen. People also get depressed, and if crazy things happen where they choose to end their own lives. Be extremely careful, because the reality is, this is not America. So even if you are the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, textbook definition of what you think people will care about, no, they don't. There have been several cases here, even recently since I've been here in Japan, where white women have gone missing and nobody knows where they are to this day, as well as people that have been found later and they mysteriously happen to have their lives ended and nobody knows what happened or where or why. It's just assumed that they took their own, and the police are not going to further investigate it. They don't care. So just keep that in mind. You do not want something bad to happen to you that you could have easily prevented by simply not telling too much information, whether it be somebody, stalking you, someone trying to R you, or someone trying to end your life and, retaliate or feel jealous. And there's some really crazy people here that really feel entitled to you, and they think that you're a foreigner. Well, they know you're a foreigner. So because you're a foreigner, they think that you are easy and that they have, access to you, and that you're just this completely open person that would do these crazy, nasty, wild things with them. And for some of you, it might be true, but the reality is, you don't want somebody that is talking to you for that reason. No, like, that's super disrespectful, dangerous, and scary. So yeah, don't tell people that you're here alone. Don't overshare your life story. People don't need to know all that information about you. And the reality is, always ask yourself this: when people are talking to you, assume two things. One, the questions that they're asking, they're not going to be willing to answer those same questions themselves. So if they're asking where do you work, where do you live, etc., they likely won't tell you the same things. And if they do, they will likely not tell you the truth. They will tell you half truths and or lies. So for example, you might think, oh, okay, he's answering the questions back, maybe I can be more open. But how do you know they're telling the truth? Yeah, they might be saying that they live with their family, but they might live alone themselves. Yeah, he might be saying that he has a wife and he's not going to do anything to you, but maybe he doesn't, or he does and doesn't care. And don't just think that because somebody has children or they're married that they're not capable of harming you. And if you're wondering, like, why would I be in a situation where I'm talking to a married person? You're a foreigner. You are literally an English magnet. People, especially if you're attractive. I literally have people walk up to me all the time and they just want to talk to me in English. I remember during my first month of being here in Japan, I literally had a Japanese guy jump off his bike and just say hello to me and tell me that he wanted to talk to me, like, just because he saw that I was a foreigner. I've had people like stop me while I was waiting to meet my friends and try to arrange dates with me. I've had people touch me and grab me and pull me, all type of really, really weird stuff. So people just assume that it's okay because you are a foreigner. People they notice you. And so that's the other scary thing too. Like, you have people that you're talking to online and you have no idea that they already know who you are. Like, they've seen you on other apps before. They saw your Instagram post because you used hashtags. They saw your TikTok videos and now they're like, oh my god, I'm seeing this girl in real life. So don't think that just because you don't have a YouTube channel or whatever that people don't know who you are. Like, people will lie to you. I literally had some scary crap happen. I had a guy that actually was Korean, so he wasn't Japanese, but he recognized me from Tinder. I don't know who this guy is. I didn't know who he was. And the only reason why I even know that he had recognized me is because I ended up matching with him later on Tinder. And he told me that he saw me in the Kabukicho area. I forgot what they call that specific area, the Koreatown area. And it kind of like freaked me out. I'm like, yeah, I was there. How do you know I was there the other day? He recognized me. And I wonder, like, how? But then when I think about it, how many black women do you see here in Tokyo? None. And so with that said, I mean, of course, there's way more here than you would in Osaka or somewhere else. But you know what I mean? There aren't a lot of us. So you stand out. Same thing goes with white women. Yes, there are way more white foreigners than there are black ones. But still, foreigners are still a rare thing to see. And while I will be honest, most white foreigners understandably have dyed their hair blonde and some of you even wearing blue contacts, etc. You still stand out like a sore thumb. People recognize you, especially if you're a tall white girl. People know you. They see you, especially in the community. And if they notice, like, hey, like suddenly they're seeing a new foreigner that wasn't there before, you might think that you're blending in because you see other foreigners, but that's because you're a foreigner yourself. And for the white people here, you're gonna have to learn how to be black. And what I mean by that is, hold on, black people have this habit of, how can I put it? I can't explain it. We know that because we are black, we recognize ourselves a lot. So for what I mean by that is, hold on. Of course, we recognize ourselves a lot, but I mean, like, you have like radar is what I'm getting at. We can tell when another black person's in the vicinity. We notice them. But for you, you've never really had to think this way. For the most part of your life, you've probably always been the majority. So you've never really noticed when you're the only person in the room. You've never really noticed that you might stand out and you might think that you're blending in with the crowd because you're like, oh, well, my skin is white. They're not that much, paler, darker than I am because they're Asian. But no, you stand out like a sore thumb to them. So you might be thinking that, oh, people don't recognize me. I'm going to blend in. But you don't. They will recognize you as the blonde over the other girl that was a blonde with curly hair. You were the one with the straight hair. You're the one with the green eyes. She's the one with the blue eyes. They see all of that stuff. So yeah, you're going to have to get used to that. And you're also going to have to get used to people stereotyping you. And you might not even notice it at first and think that it's innocent and funny and cute. And then you'll learn about microaggressions. But we'll go through all of that stuff in another video. It's not for right now. My point is basically, do not think that you're unseen, and don't think that you are blending in as much as you do, because while people might jokingly say, oh, I can't tell, you look just like the other girl that I work with, the reality is people that are stalkerish or have malicious intent, they do notice. And while you might not even be trying to worry about anything because you're not dating or meeting anyone, people are constantly watching you. There are people recording you, taking your pictures, looking for victims. And so I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying, do be careful. You are still living abroad. You are still alone. And that is very scary. You should be worried and concerned. And the reality is, the scariest part is the police are not going to do much to look for you should you go missing. You are going to be at the mercy of your friends that you have made here, their willingness to try to find you and bring justice to whatever happens to you. So be really careful about who you hang out with, really careful with who you give information to. And if you do choose to meet someone, do not tell them, hey, I live alone. Do not invite men to your house, your share house, anything else like that. You always need to be meeting somebody in a very public place, preferably a place that is heavily trafficked. You do not want to meet somebody at a hotel in the middle of nowhere, or not tell people where you are. But again, do not reveal that you are living alone or anything else like that. And what I was trying to say earlier is that you'll talk to people that are just innocently speaking to you, and they might really be married, might really have kids, and you might think that because they're just talking to you casually and they're so open and honest, they'd never, harm a fly. But a lot of these people can, will, and they are capable of doing it. And you never know. You could be that one unlucky person that ends up becoming a victim. So again, not trying to scare you, just trying to tell you, be very, very careful and mindful of who you're talking to, and think about, what you're saying. Like, don't just think, oh, all Japanese people are so polite and so innocent and they all mean well. They don't. So let's move on. If you want to hear more about that, you can leave a comment and I will elaborate on these things more. But let's move on quickly for the rest of this video. I'm already 15 minutes in. Let's keep it going. Number 3, do not go on a clothes shopping spree. I know it's so difficult, but there's a few reasons why. For starts, a lot of stores do not have a place for you to actually try on the clothing. And while clothing does oftentimes run large, contrary to what you've seen online and contrary to what I've even said before, for the most part, clothing here kind of has two different extremes. Either you'll find clothing that runs in really small sizes but is still sized, or you'll find clothing that tends to be kind of the one size fits all type thing. For the most part, clothing here is sized, but it is significantly smaller than what we're used to in the US. And that's because we eat too damn much. But with that said, you are going to have a hard time finding clothes here. Even if you are on the slimmer side, a lot of people find that the clothing here doesn't fit right. Maybe, the sleeves are not long enough, or the pant legs are not long enough, or, the hem, like for skirts and dresses and things like that. So you really, really want to be able to try on your clothing. And beyond that, a lot of foreigners don't understand that Japanese people don't wear that many clothes. Even although Japan is known for their fashion, Japanese people normally don't have more than about maybe 1 to 2 weeks worth of clothing to wear. So a lot of you guys are overbuying your clothes. You have enough clothes to last you like 1, 2, 3 months, and most people here do not do that. If you are living in Japan, you can vouch for me. Your friends and your coworkers normally switch between the same outfits every couple of weeks. Like, they're wearing the same shit over and over again, and they mix and match it, and then they eventually end up donating or selling their clothes off. They don't hold on to them. Whereas for us as foreigners, we keep clothes for years on end. We have outfits to last for 2-3 months. We have, summer wardrobe, spring wardrobe, all type of crap. Japanese people do not do that. They commonly recycle, sell, donate their clothing, and buy brand new clothes for the next year, etc. It is not very common for people to have like a whole month worth of clothing for a season. It just doesn't happen. Do not waste your money going, well, Forever 21 is now gone, but there's still H&M and Zara and Uniqlo and, GU, places like that. You can still buy cheap clothing that does fit larger bodies. And so while you can buy clothing here, keep in mind that you can also buy clothing online. So there's nothing wrong with buying some clothes, but you don't need to buy a ton. A lot of you guys go overboard, and a lot of people buy whole wardrobes. I'm guilty of doing that. Do not make my mistake, because you're going to end up throwing away a lot of that stuff, and you also don't understand how Japanese people dress. This is a very huge point, especially if you're a lady. Ladies, I know that you think you know how to dress modest, but I promise you don't. I cannot tell you how many times I've watched videos or read messages from people that didn't understand what was wrong with their clothes, and I'm like, girl, you're wearing a fucking bodycon. Yes, I get it. You're like, well, it's covering my chest. It's fitted. You might as well walk outside with no clothes on. You're living inside of a conservative country. I don't make the rules. I just play by them. My dress, even although I bought this picnic table dress in Japan, this is inappropriate to wear. Why? It's sleeveless. As you can see, my back is partially out. You can't see the bottom, but this dress is literally like up to my you-know-what. And with that said, it's too short. This is too sexy to wear. And it's also a double standard. As a foreigner, if you wear clothing that is short and are revealing, it is looked at a lot more sexy because you are a foreigner. You're naturally, especially if you are legitimately attractive in your home country too, you're going to be viewed as a lot more beautiful than the Asian women here, just because you're exotic and foreign. And for those of you that don't understand, I'm black, so I'm kind of already used to this in the US, the exotic label. But basically, as a black woman here in Japan, I'm treated more like how an Asian woman in the US is treated. Like, I'm going to make a totally real talk conversation with you guys right now. It's going to hurt feelings, but I'm keeping it real. Have you ever seen like a girl in the US that was Asian, and like she was just absolutely ugly, but dudes were all over her just because she was Asian. Like they didn't care if she was Chinese, Filipino, whatever. They just liked the fact that she was Asian and they wanted to fulfill their, Japanese hentai dreams. Okay. With that said, you're going to be kind of treated the same way, whether you're white or black, unless you're just really ugly. The reality is you're going to be viewed as a lot more attractive than you probably really are, and your body is going to be overly sexualized, and not just in a sense that because you're a foreigner, but your body probably is also more curvaceous and bigger than Japanese girls are. For example, my breasts. I wear, I think I'm more like a double D right now. I'm just going to say I'm a double D. So I'm like a double D 36. And with that said, my breasts are massive here. I get a ton of attention. Even if I'm not showing my breasts, you can see the outline of my body. Okay, with that said, it unfortunately attracts unwanted attention, and I can't help it. I'm not going to get my tits removed to make you feel more comfortable. This is a problem that Japan has to work with, but I'm just explaining to you that because you don't understand how your body's going to be viewed, this will make you extremely self-conscious if you're a girl and you go out buying clothing that you think is modest, but it's really not modest enough, or if you buy clothing that's too short or doesn't fit right and then you can't return it, or you don't feel comfortable going in and asking for a return. Just save yourself the heartache and headache and wait to buy clothing, or wait until you can try it on, and or buy baggy pieces that are, loose fitting and long. And by long, I mean your clothing needs to be beneath your knee. If it is not beneath your knee, that is not long. If your clothing, I can see the outline of your body, your shape, that is not modest. That is not conservative clothing. I don't make the rules. I'm telling you how to better protect yourself. Nothing is foolproof. You can wear the most modest outfit in the world and people still bother you messy. You've already made videos about this stuff. But the reality is you will increase the chances of these things happening by dressing in an inappropriate way. Let's just call it what it is. It's the truth. People treat you how you dress. And when you're in a conservative country, just respect the rules. I don't make them. I'm just telling you how it goes. Look, this is what I'm wearing at home. I don't want to not be able to wear this. I wish I could wear this dress outside, but I cannot. So that is all for that. Basically, don't buy clothes. Oh, I also need to mention, not just because most people don't, you're not going to have space for them. If you buy a ton of clothes at these stores, not only will they likely not fit and or not be in style by next year, but you're not going to have space for them. I am living in a freaking $2,000 apartment, and my place, I still cannot find a closet that's big enough for my stuff without having to spend an extra $1,000 on rent. And I'm honestly kind of starting to get tempted to do that. I'm living in Shibuya too, might I add. So, and I have a very big apartment, which I've shown before later on previous videos on my channel and on Patreon. So yeah, with that said, it's like, you do not want to buy a lot of clothes, because especially if you're living inside of a share house, you're not going to be able to open up all your stuff at once and see what you have. You're going to have to keep a lot of your stuff folded inside of your suitcase and have it compact and squeezed down in vacuum bags, and it's just not going to be fun for you to do. Don't buy a ton of clothes. You don't need a ton of shoes. Just get a few pieces. Honestly, the stuff that you bought with you is probably more than enough, but of course over time you're going to buy new clothing. Just don't do it right away. You shouldn't be buying this on your first day or even within your first month of being in Japan. Shopping sprees should not be done with clothing. Buy a couple of things that you really, really like and must have, but you should not be buying 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pieces of clothing within your first few months of being here. That is ridiculous and unnecessary. And if you kept your eyes open and paid attention to what other people are doing that you are working and studying with at school, they will not be wearing that many outfits like how you are. You might think, oh, that's a great thing. No, that means you're being stupid and wasteful. You're trying to impress people and they don't care or know how much money you're spending, and you're also wasting money that could have been spent on food, experiences, and travel both domestically and abroad. Because remember, you're in Japan, and later on when you do get more comfortable being here, you now have the ability to take much cheaper flights to go to places like Korea or China or anywhere else within Asia, because you're already in Asia. So keep those things in mind, that money can be saved for other things later on. Number 4, do not buy a lot of groceries. I made this mistake. Japanese products do not have all of the preservatives that we have in the US, and so your food will expire much faster. That means things like bread, milk, cheese, eggs, any type of dairy-based products, or anything even meat. Things like fruits and vegetables, and anything you could think of, produce, all of that stuff expires very fast in comparison to the US. So you do not want to stock up on those things, especially if this is your first time living alone Or if you are someone that doesn't really understand, like, how to cook or things like that, you're going to end up buying a lot of things that you don't know what to do with it, or buying things that you really like, but you didn't realize how little you actually eat when you're by yourself. So for myself, for example, I used to buy groceries and things for myself in the US, but I never really thought about, a lot of things, like from toiletries to, just regular groceries, because I always had the option to use my mom, dad, and brother stuff. I never really had to have my own stuff entirely. I just bought things for myself when I felt like it. But when you're living on your own, like truly, you're going to be responsible for everything from buying your toilet paper to your shampoo and conditioner to, the kitchen soap and, dishwashing liquid and laundry detergent, everything else like that. You do not want to waste money on groceries that you're not going to eat, and it's just going to end up getting trashed. So do not buy a ton of, perishable items. Even when it comes to box food, the shelf life is a lot less than what it is in the US. So things that normally last a lot longer, you're looking at things that expire months, weeks, or years sooner than it does in the US. Also, canned goods they exist here, but they're not as popular as they are in America, and neither are boxed meals and boxed food. You can find frozen dinners and things like that, but they're also more expensive, and they're normally not really quite exactly a frozen dinner, but kind of like a frozen entree is what they have more so here. So yeah, you do not want to, waste money buying a bunch of food that you're not going to be able to eat. You really want to just buy a few things at a time. In Japan, it's their culture. They normally go to the grocery store on a daily basis, or at least every few days. People don't buy food to stock their fridge for weeks. If you're staying inside of a share house, depending on the type of house, you might have a private fridge inside of your room, or hook up to buy a private fridge, which that sucks. Or you're going to have a community fridge inside the kitchen area, which you do have to be careful with because people do steal food. But for the most part, when I lived inside of a share house, I didn't really deal with that so much. People didn't really bother with my stuff. But it also gave you more space because you had the entire fridge, and you can kind of negotiate space with your roommates and be like, hey, is it okay if I use some of your space? Because it used to be when I first moved into Soccer House, we didn't have assigned spots inside of the fridge, but they eventually gave us assigned spots inside of the fridge, which also sucked because there was no way to proportion it and make it fair so that we all had the same amount of space. But that's a whole other story. We ain't gonna get into all of that. All I gotta say is, make sure you don't overbuy groceries. Like, it's good that you're trying to save money by going to the grocery store, but you can easily overspend there too. So just buy your bare minimum basic necessities that you must have, and also make sure that you have a freezer before buying items that need to be kept frozen. And do keep in mind that a lot of perishable items can be kept inside of a freezer. For example, you can cut fruits and vegetables and store them inside of a freezer and thaw them when you're ready to use them. You can do this for bread too. You can freeze bread, you can freeze chicken, fish, etc. to keep it fresh for longer. But again, keep in mind that you don't want to be taking up all of the space if you're staying inside of a share house, and you also don't want a ton of food just wasting space if you're planning to go out to eat or go on dates, etc. You don't know what your plans are going to be. You're new to Japan, you're just getting the hang of things. Don't buy a ton of food. The grocery store will still be there. Don't be a lazy ass or fat ass or whatever. Go back to the store later on. Worst comes to worst, they do have Uber in Japan. You can use Uber Eats, you can use Uber to buy groceries, you can use Amazon, and you guys are lucky. Back in my day when I first came to Japan, Amazon was not available in Japanese, and there was no Uber Eats. So a lot has changed just in these past nearly 10 years. So yeah, moving on. Number 5, do not go to the convenience store for home goods, supplies, toiletries, or your lunch. Everybody raves about how great 7-Eleven is, Lawson's, Family Mart, etc. And there are great things to buy at these stores. But the reality is, for the most part, both items are really overrated. But aside from that, the most important thing you need to remember is you're getting ripped off. It is not cheap and it is not a good deal. The only reason why people think it is a good deal is because we keep comparing it to what it's like in the US. You would not be able to buy a cutesy little lunchbox like that for $3-4. They would easily charge you anywhere from $10 to $20 for something like that in the US. However, this is Japan, and unlike in the US where we have pretty high wages, Japanese wages are pretty damn low for this to be a first world country. And with that said, when you are constantly buying food at the convenience store instead of the grocery store, you're going to be paying a lot more money. For example, you pay about double the price to buy something like a green tea at the convenience store versus what you're going to pay at the grocery store. You can get like a tea, prices have dealt with inflation right now, but you can get teas and stuff for as low as like 69, 79, 89 cents. You go to the convenience store, you're looking at like $1.29 to like $1.60, $1.80, and sometimes even more. And so a lot of people like the convenience store because they have cutesy, fun little food and signs, and you can just go right around the corner to your store. I literally live, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 convenience stores just on my block. I don't even know about, like, I know there's more around the corners and, cross street, etc. But, like, just here, just in this, it's not one block. On this block by itself, there's 3. And then there's one across the street by my station. Actually, there's 3 by my station. So, like, do you see what I'm saying? There's so many convenience stores. And it definitely is convenient. But the problem is you pay for that convenience. And so if you're always eating your lunch there, you will find out that you're spending actually quite a lot of money. And if you had just gone to the grocery store and made that onigiri yourself, made that sandwich yourself, made that beef bowl yourself, you would have saved a ton of money. If you want to learn how to cook, literally, you can go to Amazon, buy a book on Japanese cooking. You can easily go to YouTube, you're already here, and watch videos on how to cook simple, cheap Japanese meals. And don't forget, you might be in Japan, but just like how in the US, Asians and Hispanic people cook their own food from their culture, Indians, you can do the same thing. Like, you don't have to eat Japanese food just because you're in Japan. I cook soul food all the time at home for myself. I make things like pork chops and mac and cheese and, whatever type crap. I do things that I like to eat. You don't always have to go out and, have that. I make fajitas at home, okay? Like, you do not have to always eat Japanese food. You can actually save a lot of money by eating food from your own culture. Don't think it's going to be expensive. You can buy the raw ingredients yourself from the store and make kind of like a Japanese, American, or whatever country you're from version of the food that you're used to eating. They sell pasta here. They sell pretty much everything you need to make the food of the world. And there are international stores here in Japan. So do not feel limited to just Japanese food, and do not live off of your convenience store. Things like, not just your groceries, but your toiletries, your cleaning supplies, etc. Do not buy it at the convenience store. If you're really in a pinch, go ahead, but don't make it a regular thing. You don't want to be getting all of your stuff there. Because I made that dumb mistake for like a good, I don't know, you all, maybe like the first 6 months to almost a year of me being in Japan. I lived at a 7-Eleven. I literally bought my everything from there. I rarely went to another convenience store. I still love it the most out of all of the stores today because it is American, but I would not recommend shopping there regularly because you will pay a lot more money in the long run. It is not worth it. The same items that they have there are sold inside the grocery store. For the most part, there are a few exclusive items every once in a while, but the more important thing is you're going to pay less money at the grocery store, and you have a bigger selection at the grocery store. And on top of that, you can make sure you're getting everything you need there for the most part. Whereas if you go to the convenience store, you're limited. They only have a few different laundry detergents, a few different drinks to choose from. You're not getting as much of a variety to choose. And mind you that in Japan, even at big grocery stores, they have way less items to choose from than we have in America. In America, we have an entire aisle dedicated just to like Oreo cookies or some shit. In Japan, they have one aisle dedicated towards snacks. So like snacks is literally just there. If it's a snack, it's in that one aisle. And I don't mean like a big aisle like Super Walmart where they can fit all of their snacks in 1 or 2 aisles. No. I mean, it's literally like maybe 1 or 3 different products to choose from. So like if they have chips, you got plain, wasabi, barbecue. There's not going to be 20 different brands. You have maybe 2 different brands to choose from. It's not so much, whatever type confusion with which brand should I try? Should I get this? Should I get that? Generally, stores have their own generic brand, and then there's the name brand, and that's about it. They don't normally have all of these brands neck and neck competing with each other. There are exceptions to every rule. Some, products do have multiples, for example, chips, but you know what I mean. Like, there aren't a ton of different kinds of the same thing to choose from. So do keep that in mind when going shopping, and also make sure that you are also eating a lot of rice, because that is the easiest way to save money here. We're not making a save money video right now, but by having a lot of like heavy food to eat, like carbs, pasta, etc., and only a small portion of meat, it not only will keep you from gaining a lot of weight here, and it'll help you lose weight, but it'll help you save money. Because if you're eating large portions of meat with everything, meat is arguably more expensive here, and so is fish. So if you're constantly eating, the same amount, trying to eat the comparable amounts of meat and fish that you ate in your home country, you're going to end up spending a lot more money and living beyond your means, outside of your budget, and you are going to go broke very fast. You need to make sure that you are not just eating junk food and not just eating a ton of meat. It's okay to eat meat and do whatever you normally do, but you need to also balance it out by having a large portion of rice or something else. If you don't like eating white rice, I don't either, that's fine. What you need to do is add stuff to it. So for example, we used to call it combination rice. In Chicago, there's a really good restaurant called Wing Wa, and that's what they call it. Basically, Chinese style fried rice. I think of it like that. So this way, you are literally like, making some sort of like meat and vegetables and, have some sort of sauce and eat that over the rice. So that this way the rice is now flavored and it acts as a filler for your meal. You'll be full for longer and it'll keep you from having that feeling of being hungry. It'll not be as high in calories as if you had like, more meat to eat. It's just a win-win overall. And then of course, real Chinese, fried rice style. You can literally just, mix chicken and shrimp and carrots and whatever else. And when I say Chinese, I mean like the internationalized version. I have no idea what the real stuff is like, but this is how they serve it in both Japan and in the US, and it is delicious. You can cheaply, easily make it for yourself, and it can last for, days, if not an entire week. So do consider cooking things for yourself at home more, and make sure that you are going to the grocery store, not the convenience store. Do not believe the hype of what everybody's saying about how cheap it is. You might think, oh, it's only $1.20 for that onigiri, but then if you think about it, you could have bought an entire bag of rice for about $10, and you could have bought yourself your own fillet of fish for about $5 to $7, and that could have lasted you for at least a week, if not longer, if you see what I'm saying, because you're not getting that much fish inside of your onigiri when you get like a salmon or tuna onigiri for starts. And secondly, rice, while rice is actually more expensive here in Japan, if you are paying over $1 each day for one little rice ball, you might as well just bought a whole bag of rice and cooked it yourself. Like, you see what I mean? And seaweed is cheap too, so yeah, basically buy your groceries, buy your toiletries, buy your cleaning supplies at the grocery store, not 7-Eleven, Lawson, Family Mart, any of those other little shops, mini stop. Don't do that. Buy it at the grocery store. That is a must. Number 6, go to a red light district alone. I'm going to move along a little bit faster. These places can be really sketchy and scary by yourself. A lot of these places are being run by the Yakuza, and it is very dangerous to go, whether you are a guy or a girl. There's a lot of catcalling and touts trying to force you into places and make you pay for things and services that you may or may not want. It's very sketchy and shady. People can and will and do rob you. There are even announcements being said over intercoms telling you not to listen to these people, not to follow them, not to trust them. There are undercover cops in these areas too, so be very careful. You can get in some serious trouble. Please avoid buying anything illegal from these people. That includes this, and this. Do not do that. You can get in some serious trouble. Now, do keep in mind that when it comes to this part, those things are borderline legal here in Japan, but you still don't want to get in trouble. So be very, very careful. There's also a lot of people that are not doing these things because they want to, but rather against their will. And so I don't like the idea of supporting these businesses. That's another story. We're not going to get into that for this video, but all I have to say is just be really, really careful. I would not suggest going to these places alone. So that would include places like Namba, Dontonbori. You are looking at Roppongi Hills, the Azabu-Jubon like area. Where else? I'm trying to think. My brain is like fried. Azabu-Jubon. Oh, Kabukicho and Shinjuku. So and Shibuya Hills. You do not want to go to those places alone. Yes, you can. Nobody's going to necessarily do anything to you, but it might make you feel really uncomfortable and, give you some sort of trauma. Definitely does for me. I really don't like feeling uncomfortable. And I live in Shibuya and I don't even go to those areas. So of course, you have to every once in a while, and it really sucks because those are some of the coolest areas. You can go there. Let me repeat. You can go there. More than likely, nothing's going to happen to you. But I'm just telling you, you need to be very careful, have your guard up. People can and will touch you. It has happened. People can and will follow you. That has happened. And there is not a lot of help when you need it. So if I were you, I would avoid those areas. But also be careful. If you're thinking that you're going to be slick and do some messy stuff there, men, keep in mind that the police are undercover there. They also have surveillance cameras around those areas. They are constantly watching what's going on. And while they might not help you, they would love to arrest a foreigner, and you do not want to go to jail in Japan. It is very comparable to China in many ways. Do not do that. So yeah, be very, very careful about being alone and going through these red light districts. They can be a lot of fun to party in, but you also have to be careful because people do RM you and, put D's inside of your drink. So be very, very cautious of being in these places alone. Number 7, don't move out of your house too soon. This is a very, very difficult one because I know a lot of foreigners are like, oh my God, I cannot stand being inside of a house. I want to leave this place. But the problem with leaving too soon is you don't get a chance to really make friends and connections, get used to Japanese life, get used to how, you take out your trash or how repairs are done or how to navigate Japan or your house or anything else. And then when you move into your own place, you have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea how vents and filters work and how the AC works, and everything's just brand new to you. And I feel like it's much easier to learn these things when you have roommates to help you and you have a number you can call for maintenance and you have, staff that's bilingual that can answer your questions and help you with mail and this, that, and the other. Just living out on your own too fast, I feel like it's too much, especially since you don't have a chance to save money or, to really get established and comfortable, and just having to move and find movers and find an apartment. It's really, really complicated and messy. I know you want to leave your place if you've been here for a minute, or if, you might think that you only want to stay in the house for a day or two. I promise promise you, it's so much more beneficial to stay for much longer than that. I would at least stay for 3 months, but honestly, I think that you should really stay for 1 year. It's really worth it. It's going to be hard to muscle through it for a lot of people, but I feel like it's worth it in the long run. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You're probably never going to do it again, especially if you're younger. You're probably going to want to get married and have your own family in the future. You have a great story to tell your grandchildren, so, just think about that. Like, don't try to worry about competing with, what do they call it, the Johnsons or whatever. Like, focus on yourself. Try to build a good life for yourself here in Japan first. Save money to do that, and then when you have everything together and you can comfortably move, you can choose a place that you really like instead of choosing something that you can just afford. You can choose what you really want. So yeah, that should be motivation by itself. You will be grateful for the time that you spend inside that share house. I promise you, once you leave. You might think you won't, but you'll think about all of the mistakes you were able to make and things you were able to learn without having to do it with something underneath your own name. For example, maybe you break something by accident. Maybe you clog the toilet. Maybe you put out the trash in the wrong spot. You don't have to deal with the embarrassment of your neighbors knocking on your door or putting an angry note inside of your mailbox. Instead, you got to experience all of this stuff while staying at a share house that was not inside of your name. Nobody knows who you are. You can decide where you want to live too, because by staying in a share house, you have time to travel and explore the area, and you can decide how would you like to live. Like, for example, when I was living inside of a share house, I knew what areas I did and did not want to live in, because I got to experience living in Japan without having a property in my name, even, renting it. It wasn't inside my name. So I can say, you know what, this is nice, but I would like to be a little bit close to the train station. Or this is nice, but I really want a place that has, like, a balcony. Like, just little things like that that you don't know that you want or would care about, need, or miss, because you've never experienced having life without it, or you've never really thought about these things. So same thing goes with areas. You might see a place that has a really good price, but then you should think to yourself, why is the price so low? It must be in a very inconvenient area. They must have bugs. There's probably something to it. There's always a catch. If something seems too good to be true, there's more than likely a reason for it. It's not true. There's more to it. So just, really think about that. Try to be mature. Try to hold out. I promise you, the people that seem to be the most unhappy and most likely to leave Japan are always the ones that didn't stay inside of a share house, because they feel lonely, they hate their job, they feel miserable, they don't know what they're doing, and they just end up leaving the entire country instead of realizing the problem was you didn't like your job and you didn't like your house. Two things you could have easily changed, but you were too impatient to get to that point. So just be really careful with how fast you move out. Give yourself time to really think it through. Where are you going to go? What don't you like about here? And what do you really want? So that this way you're making the best and most informed decision. Oh my gosh, I can't remember my numbers. Number 8, do not buy large and unpractical souvenirs items. So you might find it very tempting to go ahead and waste your money and buy that jumbo, Eevee or, Pikachu or whatever from Round One. Or maybe you might go somewhere in Akihabara and you go to some sort of like anime store. You're like, oh my god, I gotta have this, One Piece manga set. You need to think to yourself, first of all, you're gonna have to carry that home and people are gonna be staring at you, which you might find embarrassing. 2, you're gonna need somewhere to store that shit. And 3, you might have your shit stolen from you. Yeah, especially if you live inside of a share house. So not to contradict myself, because you're gonna be like, see, I knew I shouldn't stay inside of a share house. No. Even if you're not living in such an area where you're dealing with somebody stealing your crap, do you want your girlfriend or boyfriend to see that you have a fucking shrine for, Luffy? Do you want them to see your Love Live posters on your wall? Are you going to be the same fanatic 5 years from now? I know that I'm not. When I first came here, I loved all things anime. I was so excited. But since I've been here, I don't watch anime. I don't really buy video games. I do like these things, don't get me wrong. I just don't have the time for it, don't really care for it, especially anime. The manga books that I bought, one of them I haven't even opened yet. And I got that book almost 6 years ago. You see what I'm saying? I literally have to throw away, donate things, etc. You will find yourself wasting money, find it difficult to take these things home. Your figurines are going to end up getting broken. There's so much stuff that I can say. Long story short, do not buy things that you do not need. Do not buy things that you just want. Think about things that have practical use. So for example, if you want a souvenir from that store to remember your trip, think about buying a towel or a cup or a plate, something that you can actually eat off of and use and not just put up on your shelf, because it's going to take up space. And if there's one thing that Japan does not have, it is space. Space is very limited here. So you're going to find yourself having to do things like add, storage onto your walls, like adding shelves, and you're not really supposed to do that either. So you're going to have to pay for that, damages or whatever else, depending on what type of place you're living in. Like for example, I can inside of my place, but for different people, people, you don't have that sort of luxury like inside of a share house. So just don't buy things that you don't need that are big and bulky. It's going to be difficult to move it, heavy to move it, costs you extra money, and you're probably not ever going to use it because you're living in Japan. You're not at home in the US anymore, living in the middle of nowhere. You are in freaking Tokyo. Like, you can go outside and travel and live in Japan instead of like reading a effing book and imagining and daydreaming this shit. You're living here. Go out, touch grass, as you young people say on Twitter. Like, do shit, okay? Like, don't stay inside of your house. You don't need manga to live this life, so to speak. Go outside. Ambulance, perfect time. Like, you know, just do stuff. So yeah, like, don't buy crap that's not practical, that you're not going to use, serves no purpose. You are going to regret it, and you're not going to get the same money back that you paid for it. You don't need it. You're going to feel ridiculous about it later. And on top of that, like I said, I mean, your space is limited. When you buy those huge items, especially when they're bigger than your suitcase, and think to yourself, do I really want to buy an entire effing box for this when I get ready to move? Do I really want to have to make an extra trip inside of, you know, my rental car to get my crap moved when I'm ready to go? Do I really want to have the embarrassment of my moving company seeing that I have a giant sex doll that needs to be moved out of my place? You probably don't. So think these things through. Number 9, hang out with a mooch. Hanging out with broke friends suck, especially when you're traveling. People have their sad stories. I've been there, done that. People that, you know, don't have money, don't have friends, don't have family, etc. You are going to have to draw the line here, and it sucks, but it is not your job. And honestly, loaning money to people that you barely know is not a good idea. Don't do that. Anytime you want to hang out with somebody, always make sure they have money before you guys go out. And ask them if they have cash, so there's no confusion. It was like, oh, well, I thought that my card would work, and then you end up getting stuck with the tab or having the awkwardness of having to fight over who's going to pay for what and falling out of friends. Always, 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 always ensure that you are going out with people that have money to pay for their share of stuff. And do not go out to eat with people that you barely know. Because when you don't know them and you're not dating them, you can very much indeed end up in a weird and awkward situation with that. And you don't want that to happen, because that's not going to be fun for anybody. But yeah, don't let mooches hang out with you. Don't let them, you know, leech off of you. You need to set boundaries. And if your friends are broke and you want to do things that cost money, then either hang out by yourself and make a new set of friends. Don't feel guilt-tripped and obligated to pay for these people because you are desperate and you want somebody to accompany you and hang out with you. Do that with your spouse. Don't do it with a fake sunny weather friend, because I promise you, as soon as that money is gone, your friend will be gone too. So while you're busy sympathizing for them and thinking like, oh, well, you know, they're keeping me company, they're helping me. No, they're not really doing either of those things. They're using you and you're in denial. As soon as your bank's, you know, pockets run dry, they're on to the next person that has money too. So yeah, be really careful with that. Do not hang out with people that never have money. Find friends that always do. Simple as that. Number 10, leave your door unlocked. I am guilty of doing this too, and I know so many people do this. But do not do this. This is very dangerous. Your neighbors can see and are here when you are locking your door or not, whether you're staying inside of a house or have your own apartment. It is very dangerous. So you might think, oh, everybody in my house, in my share house is so nice, or everybody in my building is so nice. All it takes is for one crazy person to decide, I want to see what's inside that foreigner's house, or I want to see what's in my roommate's suitcase, you know, whatever, just something really weird like that. And now, because your door is being left open, nobody knows who inside of the share house took your stuff. Nobody knows who went inside your apartment. Do you see how scary and creepy this is? And the fact that somebody could put a spy camera in your room or steal your underwear. I am literally missing a bra and panty set to this day, and I have no idea why somebody want to take that, but somebody did. So yeah, there's weird shit that happened. And what happened? That's the reason why. Our doors pretty much stayed open. Somebody snatched my bra and panty set. It was a coral colored set. Really weird. I have no idea whether they took it while I was hanging outside for me to do laundry in my room, but literally within the span of 24 hours, I had my stuff, I hung it out to dry, and I can't remember if I lost it on the line where somebody just snatched it, or if somebody like took it directly out of my room. But either way it goes, yeah, it happened from it not being kept secure. I wasn't watching my clothes while it was drying out there because I let a whole day go by before I thought to check on it. Or the case was the fact that I was inside my room, because regardless of what the case was, I was out of town for a couple of days and I came back and noticed, oh, where I thought didn't I do laundry or something? Whichever scenario it happened in, it's gone. And that's not the only thing that I've lost. I've lost keychains. I've had snacks disappear out of my room. Just like little weird random stuff. And this is just the things that I've noticed. It's possible that other things like money, change, whatever, could have also gone missing. And so this is just for me. I've seen other roommates inside of my house have their clothes missing, their food stolen, All type of stuff can happen. You do not want that to happen to you. It is very, very, very important that you lock your door. And forget about share houses. This is even more important living inside of a house. Like I said, there's some creepy people that can be in your building, or people that might have been stalking you, and you might think, oh, I have auto lock. Okay, well, all they have to do is wait for somebody that has a key to open the door, and they can come and follow that person in. And if your door is unlocked and they happen to know what floor you live on, they're good to go. So just be really careful about that, and never tell people, hey, I leave my doors unlocked. Japan is so safe. That is the dumbest thing you can do, especially if you're an influencer online, whether it's TikTok or Instagram, etc. More people are watching you than you would ever or could ever imagine. Be very careful. Number 11, leave your belongings out in public purposefully. Now this sounds really crazy because I know that there's TikToks, Instagram videos, and I made a video on YouTube long before TikTok was even a thing, talking about how you can do this. And yes, I do agree. Yes, it is a thing. Yes, it is safe to do. But what people don't talk about is that does not always happen the way people plan for it to. Japanese people steal too, and so do foreigners. When you are going out to these places, keep in mind if they are not just, occupied by Japanese people. Foreigners go to these restaurants too. They go to McDonald's, they go to, the train station, they go to whatever restaurant you're at. There are other people there. Not to mention, Japanese people are capable of stealing too, people. Hello. I get it. It's not a cultural thing for people to steal as commonly as it does happen in the US or other places, but it does happen. So do not think that because, oh, I saw this video, whatever, that it will not happen to you. People have cameras, phones, wallets stolen, and especially when it comes to cash. Japanese people don't really feel the same way about cash as they do with credit cards. Likewise, Japanese people don't normally hijack cars, but they do hijack bicycles, which might as well be cars, because in Japan you have to register them. So yes, people don't just steal umbrellas here. They steal bikes, they steal cash. Be very careful with leaving things like that down, because they don't feel like it's so personal. Because even though bikes are registered, I don't understand what's up with that part of it, but it's very unlikely that the police will actually find your bicycle. It rarely happens. They don't bother to go through the hassle. As for cash has no tie to a human because there's no name on it, so people don't feel guilty for taking it, especially if you drop your wallet or something. But don't purposefully tempt people. If I were you, only leave what you have to. So if you're at a restaurant, maybe leave your coat. You can leave your bag, but take your belongings out of it. So for example, if you have cash, like cards, or if you have, your passport or your phone, take your valuables out and bring it with you. To be honest, I like bringing my bag with me anyway because I want to fix my makeup inside the bathroom. If I'm on my period, I might need my pad. Why would you want to leave your purse purposefully? But fine, I kind of understand better for things like a tablet or something. But even then, all it takes is for you to do it at the wrong place or at the right place, and the wrong person comes in and your shit is gone. So don't do it unnecessarily. If you have nothing else to reserve your seat, you're in a busy place, then fine, go ahead. But do not do it when you don't have to for the fun of it, for a video sake, because you can stupidly do it for that purpose, and then the one time you do it, somebody runs off with your shit, and now you're looking stupid, and TikTok is not going to give you the $3,000 to replace your MacBook. Use your brain. Don't tempt people or risk having your shit stolen. Again, most of the time your stuff will be not bothered. It will be returned. I lost a pair of my Beats Studio earbuds back when they were new. I've bought the latest pair. Now I have Beats Power Beats. But back then I had a Studio Beats, Power Beats 3 or whatever back then. Somebody turned my stuff in and they didn't even bother them, y'all. They could have sold them. It was on the exact same battery percentage as it was when I had lost them. And it was at Shinagawa Station, which is the station that probably has the most foreigners because it is the gateway to get to immigration. I couldn't believe it. They had the date, time, location, everything that I left it. So yes, miracles can and do happen, but do not risk that, because I've also dated people here who've had their wallets stolen and came up later at the police station, and when it was returned to them, it had no cash or was missing all of the cash from it, and had most of the cash from it, whereas there was a little bit of cash left and their cards were still there, things like that. So be very careful when you leave your belongings down, because everybody is not good. Japanese people are still humans. They are not some sort of cyborg being or something like that. They are humans. They steal, they lie, they do the KILL, they do bad things. Everyone here is not an angel, and there are still foreigners here, and there are tons of poor foreigners too. There are plenty of foreigners here from developing countries that are here on internships, that are here doing all type of programs. I literally had a girl that was interning underneath me, so I was the teacher and she was working under me, and unfortunately while she was working under me, I felt really, really bad because I wanted to help her, but I couldn't even afford to do it at the time. She was a girl from Germany. Her roommates stole her money. All her money. They stole hundreds of dollars from her, and I felt so bad for her. So like I told my boss, and I think he helped her out, but I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine, because like at least for me, I have a work visa. I'm working here. You're here for just a temporary short period of time, and you're not making money for working. And that's all the money you have. You can't work legally because you don't have that sort of visa. I felt so sorry for her. There's nothing I can do about it. So again, like, don't just think because you're in Japan, you don't need to lock your things. And you can leave your stuff down. There are dangerous and bad people here too. Number 12, don't tell people that you cannot speak Japanese. This will hurt you. If you tell people that you do not speak Japanese, you'll never learn Japanese, because people will think, okay, you don't speak Japanese, so let me use really dumbed down Japanese and baby words to communicate with you. And let me also use as much English as possible with you, which might make you feel comfortable. And in certain situations, I do this. So for example, like if it's not going to affect me that much, I normally don't mind, using Japanese and making my mistakes. But if it's something serious like with immigration, I am not trying to worry about using Japanese to impress you. I want to make sure I'm understanding what's being said and that we're on the same page. And so trying to pretend to know something that I don't know, or struggling to use a language when I have a stronger one that we could both mutually speak, I'm going to go with English. It only makes sense. These people are getting paid to talk to me to begin with. So with that said, don't hurt yourself and make things hard for yourself, but don't be so shy and so self-conscious about your language ability and lazy that you never learn. I can't tell you how many times I come across foreigners that even have it written inside their bios, like especially white guys. I don't speak Japanese. I'm a total beginner. Things like that. And it's like, I get what you're trying to say, but if you're telling people, like, oh, I can't talk to you unless you can speak English, etc., you're ensuring that you're never going to escape the Gaijin bubble, you're going to attract Gaijin hunters, and you're not going to improve your Japanese language ability because you're refusing to attract people or talk to people that don't meet your criteria of speaking English. So yes, we're not going to get into the argument on this video. I'll make another one on that. Yes, they should speak English considering it's the business language of the world, and Europeans and South Asians and even other East Asians are able to speak English at a much higher rate than Japanese people. But that's not my argument. Rather, my argument is for your own sake for learning Japanese. By you telling people that you can't, you are both hurting yourself psychologically, because if you're constantly telling yourself, I can't do it, you're going to really think and feel like you can't do it. It's just like calling yourself ugly. If you keep saying, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, you're going to believe you're ugly, you're dumb, you're whatever. So when you say I can't speak Japanese, it translates into that. Instead say, I'm learning Japanese. I'm studying Japanese. I want to try to use Japanese. Make your mistakes. One of my favorite mistakes that I always tell Japanese people, including foreigners that I used to make, I used to say imadet instead of ijodet when I was done ordering my food. And I didn't know until somebody laughed at me and corrected me and said ijo. Because at first I kept saying ima because I thought that's what they were saying, because they would say it so fast. And same thing with as I was saying things like that was hard for me to say. I still don't use it, but now I understand what was being said. So again, trying to mimic them. I had a Swedish friend, and I forgot what she used to say, but I started mimicking her, and then I realized why staff was laughing at us, because we were just saying gibberish. We were something whatever, something really weird like that. I can't remember it. Girl, if you hear, please comment, say something to me. She made it this far in the video, but yeah, I'm still friends with her. Well, not friends, we're associates basically. But yeah, that was a really embarrassing moment that I don't want to go back to in my life. But long story short, yes, it does pay to practice. You're going to make mistakes, that's okay. They make mistakes when they speak English, so don't worry about it. And don't worry about being laughed at, teased, or whatever. See it as experience, because now that you've dealt with being teased and laughed at and made fun of for making a mistake, you have even more motivation to memorize it and do things correctly the next time. And now you can share your funny story with someone else too, just like how I do. Japanese people love to laugh at that when I tell them about that. There's plenty of other examples. For example, asobi, I didn't understand it when somebody says play. They're saying they want to F me. I thought they really wanted to play. I'm like, oh sure, what do you want to play? Yeah, I was that stupid, so I had to learn a lot. And this is why I was saying that your little Japanese textbooks are not going to teach you those things. You're going to learn the exact definitions for this stuff. You're not going to learn the slang behind it or what people might mean in natural circumstances. So really make sure that you are using any opportunity that you have to speak. Don't say, I can't speak Japanese, I don't speak Japanese, I don't whatever. It's okay to say, I'm not that good, but always follow up with, I want to try, I want to use, I want to whatever. It's okay to use it when it's available, when you really need it, but don't try to always opt for the English menu, or when you have a menu that has both languages, don't read the English part. Try your best to memorize the kanji, to memorize the hiragana, to kind of challenge yourself. And last but not least, now that we have approached the 1 hour mark just about, don't forget, do not take anything personally. You are going to meet really, really, really mean people, really rude people, really racist people, really prejudiced people, and you always have to remember you can't take anything personally. You're here in Japan for yourself. There are going to be bad people everywhere in the world, and I promise you, leaving Japan is not going to make your life a million times better. You're going to have the same crappy, sucky problems in the US or any other country that you come from. Problems exist everywhere. And yes, some things are more unique and individual to Japan. There's no denying that. But you have to remember that just like how in your country you've interacted and come across people that were just having a bad day and were a total asshole, Japan has the same thing. You will meet people that are really rude and make you be like, they were saying that these people are polite, and yeah, then you'll understand what I'm saying. You're going to come across a lot of bad eggs, a lot of bad people just having a bad day and a bad mood, that just hate foreigners. Like, that's the reality you're going to have to face. You're going to have to remember that's their problem. In fact, if you ever really want to make angry, racist, or whatever people upset, act like you don't notice their feelings. So for example, if somebody is bothered and disgusted by your presence, laugh, smile, and pretend to not even see them. Somebody doesn't want to sit next to you, I'm still having to learn and teach myself this to this day. Sit down anyway. As long as you're okay with sitting there. Don't make yourself unnecessarily uncomfortable. But don't let somebody else's prejudice, racism, ignorance stop you from getting a seat, stop you from being happy, stop you from living. Bad people exist everywhere. People have bad days. And always remember that them having a bad day can just be what's going on inside of their head. I think I shared this in another video, but just recently, at the convenience store that I go to all the time, my 7-Eleven, right around the corner from me, I literally had a Japanese woman yell at me, "Excuse me," in Japanese, of course, because I didn't hear her. I was trying to get my bag together. I just got through paying for my stuff, and I was over the trash can putting my things inside of my bag, and I didn't realize she was trying to get by and get coffee, and it was a fat bitch too. And so I'm thinking to myself, you're expecting me to move from over here when you can just slide by me. Y'all have no problem brushing into me any other time, and now all of a sudden you're too good to touch me. This is so dumb. I think I tell this inside of another story that you guys are going to see later on, because I decided to change the upload order of some of my videos. But whichever order that story gets told in, I'm telling you again then. So yeah, it really hurt my feelings, and I thought to react, but I was like, the best reaction is to give no reaction. She's angry, she's bitter, she's pissed off for whatever reason. The bitch is ugly. She's fat. She looks like a pig. She's probably, I'm just keeping it real. I know I sound like a really bad person, but I'm keeping it real. She made me feel bad. And I thought to myself, she's taking out her anger on me because she can't do that to a Japanese person. They would fry her. They would treat her whole effing life. She could never talk to somebody like that. I had another situation in Osaka where I was inside of the mall, inside of, what do I call that place? Luca or whatever, Luca, whatever the name of that store is, Luca, I think it's called Luca. And I was in the mall, was really crowded, and these girls were walking too slow in front of me, and we were waiting on the line to go down an escalator. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That mall is super crowded during the weekends, and I think it was during the weekend. And I accidentally stepped on the back of her shoe, and she turned around, and if looks could kill, I tweeted about this, a couple of years ago. She was angry at me, and she looked me up and down in disgust, and you could tell she was racist. You could tell she was just angry, just the most bitter, evil, nasty bitch, and she started whispering and saying shit about me. And I thought to say something angry or mean, but my natural reaction was to apologize, because I've had people step on the back of my shoe, and I understand that it makes you upset, but I'm thinking I said sorry. And I hate when people do shit like that as adults, because it's like, we've all done these things before, so why not just accept the fact it's an accident, it's a mistake? Why make a big deal, argue, make a scene about something small and stupid? Not to mention, even though I tweeted about it getting angry, I was thinking about it in my mind at the moment too. I'm wearing $200 shoes, and you have on $20 Forever 21 boots. I should be mad at you for getting mad at me. I should be mad at you for walking slow. My shoes probably cost more than your entire outfit. Excuse you, bitch. And so again, she wouldn't have done this to a Japanese girl. They knew I'm a foreigner, I'm a black girl, I'm probably going to be more self-conscious, more shy, more whatever. They can get away with doing it to me, especially since, to their understanding, I can't understand what they're saying. And I couldn't. They were whispering. I didn't even hear what the girl said, but I knew she was talking shit about me. Same thing goes when I've gotten on the train before. I told a story about this before too. I've told the story a million times. I had 2 salarymen sitting across from me, ripping my outfit, calling me a whore and everything else, talking about how I have no respect for myself. And I wasn't even wearing a slutty outfit. I had on a freaking trench coat. My dress was short, but I had on opaque tights. But it wasn't that short. It came to my knees. But they were just going in on me. And I'm thinking, like, I'm wearing black tights and a navy blue dress and a freaking trench coat. Like, what more do I need to be wearing? And nobody on the train defended me. Nobody said anything to the man, told him to stop. They were just listening, probably laughing, letting him go. I didn't think anything of it. I knew he was talking about me and my friend, but I just figured, like, oh, okay, he's just probably acknowledging the fact there's foreigners on the train. I got used to it at this point. I've been in Japan for a few months. So you will deal with people that are just mean for no reason. They're bitter. They're not happy with their own lives. They're not happy with themselves. And they just want to pick a fight. I've had men do it. I had a man go off of me on Valentine's Day in Kyoto because he was walking on the wrong side and he bumped into me because he decided that he wasn't going to move over to the right side. And that's another annoying thing too. Japanese people, they're used to foreigners moving out of their way. So they will purposefully walk on the wrong side and wait for you to move. I've had people literally open up an umbrella to try to get me to move over. People pretend to be on their phone, all type of weird shit, stop their bike in front of me, anything to make me move so that they don't have to go around me. And it's such a dumb thing because they normally, you'll see it every once in a while, but they normally don't do it with Japanese people. They normally try to find a foreigner to do it with. I've had people cough when they walk by me, grunt, all type of like weird nasty stuff, people not smile and talk to me when they're serving me, people avoid to, refuse to acknowledge me. I've had people get up and move because I sat next to them. Just all type of mean things that really hurts you, personally. But you have to remember not to take it personally. Not to, excuse ignorant Japanese people and racist and prejudiced people to do this. So stop using the word xenophobic. It's literally a synonym for the word racist and prejudice. Let's end that. I made a whole video about that. But whatever word you want to use, it's wrong. It's hurtful. It's degrading. It's dehumanizing. And they could never handle that being done to them in the U.S. Their feelings would be so hurt. So I always try to remember that for every bad person, there's 100 good people that have said nice things about me, both behind my back and to my face. I think about the foreigners, not the foreigners, Japanese people here that want to know foreigners, that want to make friends with them, that want to have language exchanges, that want to date and marry them, that want to go to foreign clubs and foreign bars, and that are interested in Jamaica and in, Black American culture, and people that are just into foreigners. Not in the Gaijin hunter way necessarily, but even those people. When you deal with the racist, bad, and mean people, it makes you so much more appreciative of the ones that want to be American, and want to be white, and want to be black people. It makes you more appreciative of those people because you realize just how awful and scummy other people can be. And I would say the same thing goes for in the U.S. Like, the wannabe white guys. I mean, wannabe white guys. The wannabe black white guys. So, like, the Eminem types, as we would call them back in the day. You feel more appreciative to those types when you meet people that are, affiliated with supremacy groups and things like that. So just really try not to take it personally. It's going to happen. You're human. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. But try to remind yourself, and I'm a Christian, so I always try to think, like, what would Jesus do? And I always think to myself, like, what am I going to get out of giving them my reaction? What am I going to get out of acknowledging what happened? I will apologize when I do something wrong, and then I move on. I'm not going to turn around and make a big deal. After I tell you I'm sorry, you can yell and throw a fit and look stupid and crazy to yourself. The moment that I turn around and start begging you and getting down on my hands and knees and over-explaining myself, I'm helping you. I'm making your case. After I tell you I'm sorry, I'm turning around and moving on. That's exactly what I've done. I'm not going to waste my time and do anything more than that. If you choose to be a hothead and have anger issues, that's on you. So that's it. Basically, just keep your head up. Don't let people hurt your feelings. And really, really, really just be very, very careful with how you handle things with your mental health. Living in Japan is very draining and difficult. It can be hard, especially if this is your first time going to a new country, and you're young, like how I was when I first came here. I'm still young. So yeah, just be really careful with your heart and your mind, and just really, really, really try your best not to take things personally. So that's it. Those are my 13 tips on things that you should not do upon first coming to Japan. Please feel free to chime in and add more of your own things. I'm so sorry for making this video super long, but I do have a blog post that you can read if you are not up for obviously watching this entire video, but I do suggest that you watch it, put it on the background, whatever. I know it's a lot to be said all over again, but it's really important. I think these are 13 things that a lot of people do when they first come to Japan, and I feel like if you know these 13 things ahead of time, or have these things to, go back to and recall and consider and think about, it will make things so much easier just knowing that other people go through what you do. You're not the only person that wanted to have your lunch at the convenience store every day, that fell in love with I forgot what they even call those little chicken things at Lawson's. Like, you're not the only person that likes the kage at 7-Eleven. I do too. Some things are really good, and they can seem cheap, but in the long run they add up. And same thing goes, like, 10 taking things personally, or just anything here. Live inside of a shell is so stressful. I understand there's bad things to everything, but sometimes we have to go through bad, hard, and difficult times in order to prepare us for the good times that are ahead, to make us more appreciative for them and of them. So I wish you the best of luck. Do not freak out and overreact. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to have to do here, that you're going to have to learn here, and it's okay. Take your time. Your goal is not to be a perfectionist or to be perfect in Japan. No foreigner is. We are foreigners. We are not Japanese. Japanese people aren't even perfect. So don't let people have these high, crazy expectations for you. As long as you're trying your best, that's all that matters. Try your best to be a good person. Try your best to continuously learn. Try your best to share your experiences and be helpful to other people. Try your best to be kind, even when it's difficult to do so. Do not give people the reaction that they want, because when you do that, you lose. Whether it be you crying or you getting angry or you arguing back, just let it go. It's not worth it. You're not going to get paid for giving that, Japanese girl a piece of your mind because she called you ugly, or because she called you fat, or because she told you that she wanted you to go to hell or to leave Japan. You're not going to get that from arguing with that old crazy kook that's telling you that he hates foreigners to leave the country. Little do you know, that man is divorced and living in a 2x2 hut. You're living a much better life than that man is. Don't be bothered by him. He might be homeless tomorrow for all you know. Not to feel sorry for these people, but rather to say, you're living a better life than them. They're envious of you. They're jealous of you. Some of these people have never even been abroad before. And they're cursing themselves because how they treat you, their children are going to have to pay the cost for it. They're going to have to pay the cost. So when they're rude to foreigners in their country, they're going to have the same, if not worse, rude and nasty experiences when they go abroad. I don't believe in karma. I believe you reap what you sow. It will come back to them. And if it doesn't come to them, it will happen to their children and their loved ones. Don't let that bother you. So I'm done with this video. Please feel free to give your own 13 tips or any tips you'd like to add or anything that you'd like more clarity on. Please leave a comment down below. I'm sorry for the super long video, but I know many of you like my long videos and find these to be helpful and useful. My goal is to talk to you like a friend or family member. I'm not here to make short, simple videos that are easy to digest. I'm here to give real help and real information that cannot be given in a 5-minute video. So if your goal is rushing and speed, my channel is not for you. This is for people that are serious about living in Japan, serious about studying, working, dating here, and really want to know how to make their lives easier. Again, if you do need everything in a pinch and a rush, you can read my blog post in which I answer all of these questions there too. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, leave a comment down below. If you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also check out my playlist. I have a playlist on just about every topic here: work, study, dating, living in Japan. I have tons of videos you can watch, and I probably have already answered your questions, but if you do have a question that you cannot find the answer to by using the search bar on my channel's homepage, you can leave a comment down below asking your question, or you can send me an email and I will try my best to make a YouTube video answering your question as soon as possible. Other than that, please follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Comic95. You can add me on Snapchat and on TikTok at Comic the Savior, and I have a Facebook fan page at Comic95 the Savior, and my blog at comic95.com. Yeah, because that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you for watching, and I hope you watch another video. Good luck with your stay here in Japan, and I hope you watch another video. Bye.